If you're at a point of confusion as to why you do what you do in your relationship, I'm here to help you to try to understand the reactions that you have and get you pointed in the right direction so you can start taking action. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell to make sure that you're notified for when I post videos every week. Jason and Stephanie have been married for 20 years and their marriage is in trouble. Stephanie's at the end of her rope. She says that she is tired of feeling like she is the bad guy all the time. She's walking on eggshells and feels like she just can't do anything right. Jason gets really rigid in the ways that he interacts with her. He gets controlling sometimes with her and the children. He tends to blame his wife and his kids anytime things don't go the way that he wants them to go. He talks down to them. He tends to be parental in the way that he interacts. He has a harsh tone of voice and lectures the family when somebody makes a mistake. When he recognizes what he's done, he feels intensely guilty and withdraws. Sometimes he withdraws for days. Stephanie knows that Jason's a good man. He seems apologetic each time this happens. Once he calms down and he can really listen to what she has to say, he recognizes that he overstepped. He's been to therapy, he's read books, he's listened to podcasts. He knows that this is a problem, but for some reason or another, he just cannot seem to make the shift. When Stephanie confronts him, he makes promises that he's not going to do it again. And he may get better for a little while, but then he always reverts back to his old patterns. Years of this have worn Stephanie down. She's resentful, angry, she's unhappy, she's disconnected. She doesn't trust Jason and take him at his word anymore because his words never quite match up with his actions. She doesn't really want to spend any time with him anymore because she's always afraid of when he's going to snap, what's going to upset him, because she can never really tell. Something's got to give. Jason's awareness of the problem just isn't enough. He says he feels like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He doesn't understand why he gets so upset about such stupid things. He sees what this is doing to his marriage. He sees what it's doing to his relationship with his kids, and he's afraid that Stephanie's going to leave him if he doesn't make change now. He feels broken and doesn't know what to do. Reactive patterns are numerous. Maybe you're like Jason. Maybe you shut down and avoid. Maybe you're clingy and needy, and maybe you are more detached emotionally and you starve your partner out. Regardless of the pattern you're in, asking yourself the question, why am I the way that I am, is the single most important question you can ask yourself to get you started down the path of healing. Our minds are problem-solving machines, and as a way that they solve problems is that when we struggle to understand why we are the way that we are, then we make things up. We literally use faulty thinking. We jump to conclusions. And when within that faulty thinking, we tend to disparage our character because we can't figure it out. If I can't figure it out, well, it must be that there's something broken inside of me. There's something that's terribly wrong with me. This is often how people see themselves. They often wonder if they're bad, sick, stupid, or crazy. And this is how their mind is trying to solve the problem when it really has nothing to do with that. So people in my program used to think of themselves as broken. But let me tell you something. You're not broken. You're wired. Your reactions, whether anger, avoidance, or shutting down, are not random. They come from patterns wired into your nervous system based on your past experiences. Your brain's job is to keep you alive and safe physically and emotionally. And sometimes that means using strategies that once worked a long time ago, but now might be damaging your relationship. So when we examine Jason, we find that he was raised by parents who loved him and were there for him in most ways. But there was a pattern inside the family that was fear-based and pretty dysfunctional. Mom was very anxious and she micromanaged Jason's behavior. She was scared. She had some fear-based parenting. When Mom did this, it made Jason feel very frustrated. He would feel resentful and angry with his mother often. He couldn't stand the feeling of being controlled. When he and his mother would clash, Jason's father would step in, defending his wife, and would end up dominating Jason. Dad would guilt Jason and make him feel bad because his mother loves him and she's just trying to help. He would call him ungrateful and imply that he doesn't love his mother after all she's done for you. See, Jason's reactive blueprint started getting laid out in childhood. These early experiences with our caregivers shape how you handle emotional closeness and conflict, your reactive style. These reactions are based on family dynamics, stressors, who mom and dad are or are not, and they also can be connected to childhood experiences that have nothing to do with mom and dad. Maybe it was you were bullied. Maybe you were the new kid really often in school. Maybe you had really difficult siblings who had addiction issues. The possibility of how these dynamics get started are numerous. They don't always tie to mom and dad, but more times than not, they are connected back to the family dynamic. If your childhood home felt unsafe in some way, or it was unpredictable or conditional, you may have developed these strategies as a way to protect yourself, like anger and defensiveness, one of the most common. This is when you had to fight for attention, or maybe defend yourself from people who would attack you or punish you, or you felt that you had to prove your worth constantly to a parent. Or it might have been avoidance or withdrawal. Closeness felt overwhelming to you, that you felt that it was very intrusive, or that you felt unsafe and you wanted to just keep to yourself. Turns out that Jason did both. He would feel angry and frustrated by how much his mother would micromanage him, and he felt that she was on him about every little thing. Over time, he would then learn that talking to her about it would only upset her and upset his father. So he began to withdraw and shut down. He would keep things to himself and then share as little as possible so that he could avoid the negative interactions that he would have with his mother and father and try to have some peace. This worked. Sometimes your brain is running old scripts. So when the patterns feel familiar to you in your daily life as an adult, your reactions match what you know. Generally speaking, your reactivity isn't about the people that are in front of you. It's an echo of the feelings and the past experiences from your childhood difficulties. Your body and your brain are wired to react as if you were in the original unsafe situation, even if the present moment is different. This reactivity is how you coped during your childhood and in these dysfunctional interaction patterns, and you haven't updated the programming yet. So Jason is unconsciously micromanaging his wife and his family, even though he can say that he hated when it was done to him. It was burned into his brain that the reason that his mother would do this is to protect him, and that was being done out of love. So love and protection became all tangled up with micromanaging his family. He then switches into dominance, just like dad, when something isn't going the way that he wants, or when his wife or his kids tend to resist or have a reaction to his micromanaging behavior. Jason then returns to himself when he's calm, and then he feels guilty because he's doing to his family what was done to him when he was growing up. But all of this is likely unconscious. He's not even aware that he's doing it. So these reactions from these old patterns of his childhood operate in the background, and he's just focused on what's happening right now today. He's not making the connection between how he was treated as a child and what goes on in his life today. As you can tell, that the very first step to making change is to notice the sensations in your bodies to get clued into this reactive pattern. So what happens inside of your body right before you react? Common signs would be muscle tension, heart racing, feeling like I want to shut down or get away, feeling trapped and attacked. How I experience this for myself is I go into more of a fight energy. So if something isn't going my way, I feel this tension in my chest, this kind of hot, tense feeling in the center of my chest and in my abdomen. And then I feel it in my neck and in my jaw and in my fist and shoulders. So instead of getting lost in the reaction, you have to ask yourself the question, what does this remind me of? When Jason signs up and enters into my program, he's going to learn how his unconscious programming runs the show in the background at all times, because now he is the father and he is unconsciously unpacking the only things he knows about being a father and a parent, which were the examples that he was given by mom and dad. Change is possible. It is possible to rewire this pattern. The hard part about rewiring this pattern is that over time, these patterns turn into beliefs called schemas. Because schemas are beliefs, we have a tendency to defend them. So if I were to point out these patterns to Jason, he may defend them by saying, it's my job to teach my children how to do things properly. Or he may continue to blame his family in the same way that he was, saying to himself that I do so much for my family and they can't do basic things to help me out. It may be completely lost on him, which is what I find often, as to how he is making his family feel. And he needs to reconnect to how he felt in his childhood when this was being done to him. He's defending that feeling. He's not letting himself feel it or see it. Your brain has the power to unlearn these patterns and these old responses through me teaching you a variety of techniques in my program, Breaking Reactive Patterns. Jason may make the mistake of thinking that he needs to communicate better, or that he needs to read books about anger management, or he might need to learn how to parent more effectively. If he were to do that, he's actually focusing on the wrong areas, and this is why he won't make any progress or any headway trying to solve this problem for himself and his family. He needs to go back to the source of the dysfunction and pull it up by the root. Healing happens when you learn enough about yourself to know how to become safe within yourself first. And when that happens, you begin to transform. You know what being safe feels like. You know how to be safe inside of yourself, and you want to be a safe place for the people that you love. When this happens, you actually begin to show up differently inside your relationship. You become a healthy adult. This isn't about fixing yourself. You're not broken. This is about understanding why you are the way that you are, and you learn a new way forward. If you're willing to face the patterns with curiosity and not shame, you can create a real change in your relationship. If this video resonates and you can really relate to what I'm saying, schedule a discovery call. The links are below the video in the description, and make sure that you follow me for more insights on my program, Breaking Reactive Patterns, the blueprint for building a safe and healthy relationship. For more information on how to start facing yourself and your dysfunctional patterns to improve your relationship, watch the companion video that I posted here. Make sure you comment below if this resonates with you, and share it with anyone you love who might need to hear this information. And again, as always, thank you so much for watching.